welcome to Old Man Energy. It's been a minute since I've been here, and I am glad to be back with you guys. We've had a reset on our end, and moving forward, I think you're going to find that the new level of content that we've been bringing you, everything's always been valuable, but it's my intention to do things with a little more intentionality and specifically give you something that you can take away every week. Every time I teach, every time I speak, I always want to add some value. And I've attempted to do that here in the past, and you can find tons of value in the past episodes. But didn't realize that I was working myself into the ground. I got so addicted to the work and the grind and just the daily, I don't know, the actual work became the point, not the goal. And that was a challenge for me. I've always worked very hard. I've always worked a lot. I don't really believe in burnout, although I'm starting to realize that that's a thing. It's usually just a description of a lack of direction or just being tired in general. And it took me a while to do a major mental reset. Part of this has to do with getting older, and part of this has to do with why I'm doing what I'm doing. I've always found that, especially now that I'm older, I find that I relate a lot more to the younger generation of entrepreneurs than I have the entrepreneurs my age. It frustrates me that a lot of the people my age in their 50s and in their 60s are getting ready to retire, which is fine. That part doesn't frustrate me. You've earned your right to relax, but they're literally preparing to do nothing. It's almost like they've given up on their dreams and their goals. They think they don't have to have anymore. And that part there really, it made an unusual conundrum for me, because it was like, okay, well, I should be getting ready for this. Whereas I'm just looking at, okay, I've got 10 and 20-year goals, which I don't recommend that you focus on, but you should have them there, things you want to accomplish long term. And point of fact is, some people our age are starting over. They're done raising their kids and they're ready to go. But a lot of folks don't look at it that way. And then young people coming in, and younger entrepreneurs, 20s, 30s, even some people in their 40s, they're full of fire and they're ready to go and they want to make things happen. So I find myself relating to the younger people, which is fun. Also, in the fact that they look at me and treat me as a mentor just because of my age or because of the massive information that I've put out there on social media, and they've seen a lot of it. Um, Refer to me as big brother or coach or boss man, or however you want to look at it. I fought against that for a long time. I was like, "Oh man, I'm just one of you. I'm just one of the grinders. I'm one of the guys that's in here and do it." Well, eventually you reach a point where you've paid your dues and you've put the time in, and it's time to step up and take that mantle of coach and teacher and leader. And some people step naturally into it. And for whatever reason, I was already doing it, but mentally I hadn't made that shift. And as a result, it was draining me and I was exhausted. You go back and look at some of the last few episodes that were posted up before my break, and yeah, you can tell. I mean, I just looked physically and mentally drained. I was still exercising, working out. I was doing all the right stuff, but the tiredness was coming through. The frustration was coming through. I recorded a short video yesterday, which I'll post on my story somewhere. Remember, guys, as we're going through this, your interaction is what drives this. You guys focusing on what you're learning, feeding it back into this through the comments, through likes, through shares. That's how all of us out here that are creating, that's how we know that you're valuing our content. And I want to tell each and every one of you fans, subscribers, and followers that reached out to me, made sure I was okay, checked on me, that I appreciate you very much. I thank you for that. And that outpouring is really what helped me keep going. So there was a short time where I was going to give up. It didn't even feel like failure. It just felt like resignation. It's like, okay, well, we're not going anywhere with this. So maybe it's time to move on to a different project, focus my efforts somewhere else. Well, turns out that just wasn't the case. So I took the time. I did some mental adjustment. I did some deep work, which I'm still in the middle of, and coming out better than ever. I'm excited. I've got a big talk coming up on May 20th, 2025, depending on when you're listening to this. I'll get that recorded and posted up here as well. It was an event that I did about a year ago, and was invited back. That was really the phone call that was the start of my reawakening, of realizing, okay, no, there's something still here, still have a story to tell, still have a story to teach. So that being said, I want to talk about legacy today, and I want to talk about rest, and I want to talk about the importance of both. So everybody knows that the Old Man Energy podcast is my legacy. It's a legacy to my children. It's a legacy for my family. It's a legacy for everything that I've learned and done and made mistakes on and wins over the years. I want to tell you guys something. Understand, if your legacy is your story. It's not good, it's not bad, it's just your story. Record the good parts, record the bad parts. You'll always have some sort of challenge that is stressing you out, especially if you're an entrepreneur. There's a joke going around the internet right now. It says on Monday you can have $12 in your account. You Wednesday you can have 20,000, and then come Friday you're -10 and you have payroll due, or whatever the version of it is there. Those stresses will always be there. They'll always be present. The trick is, and it's not really a trick, I guess that's the wrong word, but the thing is you can't let that define who you are. That's just life. It's just part of it. It's just part of the challenges that we deal with. There'll be wins and there'll be failures, but you don't let them define who you are. But also, not all of those challenges can be solved just by focusing on them and working harder. Sometimes you need to take a step back. You need to regroup and make sure that you're working on your life, on your business, on your body, not in those things. I'm going to use nutrition. I'm going to use your body as an example because it's very easy to illustrate with your body. If you're working in your body, you're doing everything you can. You're trying to get your lifts in, and you're looking for constant progress. And if that's the only thing you're tracking and you're in the gym, you're eventually going to reach a plateau where you're not going anywhere. Well, if you're going to work on a system and not in a system, that's just one piece of the wheel. Okay, well, now you need to make sure that you're prioritizing rest. You need to make sure that you're prioritizing nutrition. Do you have to be perfect at all these things? Absolutely not. You have to be conscious of them. The very act of being conscious of all the pieces that you need helps make you more effective at everything that you are doing. So as I go through and talk about these different pieces of consciousness and intentionality, remember, working on things, just the very act of defining them, sometimes makes it apparent what you need to do. I'll give you an example. If you've ever tried tracking your food or tracking your time throughout the day without even making any changes, with just deciding to chronicle that, you make changes because you don't want to write it down. You'll go to eat that piece of cake and you'll be like, man, I got to write this down. I don't want to do that. Or you'll go to have that third or fourth drink or whatever it is. You stop, you start making choices. So the very act of tracking starts affecting change long term. And as long as you allow it to and are mindful of it, it will continue to do that long term. So what did I do? I realized that I was exhausted. I realized that I was burning myself out, burning the candle at both ends. Well, what does that mean? That means you're doing work that's not in alignment with your long-term goals. So I took some time. I did some soul searching, and I'll talk about that in a later episode. It's not the point of this episode. And figured out, okay, not only what do I really want, but how do I keep this mindfulness top of mind every day? And in the early 2000s, if you've read my book, The Manual, the very, very beginning of it is my manifesto. And the manifesto is terrible. It's full of grammatical errors, and it's full of spelling errors, and it's just kind of all over the place. But I read it every day for years because I knew I wanted to change, and I just decided to write down and define what kind of man I wanted to be. As terrible as that document is, it affected change. It helped me become the person that I am today. So I went back to my roots. What do I need to do? Well, I shortened it, first of all, because things don't need to be. I just started to rewrite it and realized, no, this has its place. This document is part of my history. It needs to stay the same. So I wrote another one. And something that I read every day, something that helps me define this new stage of life moving forward. And it's just a mantra that we read every day. And I don't know if you believe in alignment and vibration and the power of prayer or meditation or whatever it is that you do, but allowing your mind and your subconscious to focus on the same thing consistently moving forward, you start to affect change. Now, whether it's the reticular activating system, whether it is divine influence, whether it's vibrating on the right frequency, drawing things in, however you describe this, repeated action in a consistent direction with a mindful intent makes a difference long term. There's no way that it cannot. So I wrote my code. I have a specific way that I go through this in the morning. I haven't started doing it in the evening, but I need to. I don't really have a reason for not doing that, except I usually fall into bed exhausted. But it allows me to review, it allows me to reflect, it allows me to start my day in the right frame of mind. Does it always stay conscious? No. Sometimes it falls through into my subconscious, which is what we want. Similar to the act of driving a car. When we first started driving a car or riding a bike, we had to remember every step, and it was difficult and it was cumbersome and it was clunky. Now you get in, start flipping switches and do 34 things before you even pull out of the driveway, and you haven't thought about it once because it's become ingrained in who you are. So use that as the example whenever you're making these declarative statements that you're going to read to yourself about what your life looks like every morning. Remember, that's what you're doing. You're just programming yourself to do this. And then you're not limited to mornings. You can read it whenever you want. Having a hard day, whatever. Just do something that inspires you and refocuses you and puts you where you need to be on a daily basis. Using your subconscious mind to make that happen. One of the things that I do is I used to meditate, and I still do meditate. I'd say I used to meditate. I used to meditate and not know what I was doing. So I tried kind of all different kinds. I tried guided meditation, and some people will pray, depending on their religion. That's a form of meditation. And I'm not meaning to take anything away. If that makes you happy and that helps get you guided and where you need to go, and it's a very powerful mechanism to do that, then do that. It doesn't matter if you don't want to meditate and without prayer, that's fine. But for me, I didn't know what it was. I was like, okay, well, this is hokey pokey bullshit. What are we going to do? So I would sit down and I would meditate, and I would be like, okay, what does this mean? I got to sit here and just think about nothing. I don't know if you've tried to keep your mind completely clear, but it's nearly impossible. Found Dr. Nicole LaPera online. She's the holistic psychologist on Instagram. Listened to her on a couple of podcasts, and I liked the way that she did meditation. She did some guided meditations. I'm sure they're still out there. I haven't listened to them in years because they just became ingrained in who I am. She would help control those thoughts and allow your brain to flow and give you a mechanism for being able to get rid of those random thoughts so that you could truly just allow yourself to be. The point is what I realized is the meditation is a time for your brain to just kind of decompress and your consciousness to integrate with your subconscious mind. So I do that. I sit there 5, 10, 15 minutes, take a break throughout the course of the day. Does this work all the time? No, it really doesn't. But if you're mindful about it and you do things with intentionality, you'll find some time to take breaks during the day. And you know what? Sometimes I fall asleep because I'm tired. That's fine too. I will I will mentally tell my subconscious mind that I need it to solve the problem. And then I'll sit there and not think about it. I'll just sit there and try and meditate. So, okay, subconscious, I need you to solve X. I have, use an example from the manual. I have $1,200 coming. I have $1,500 worth of bills. I'm not sure what to do about it. I need you to give me a solution for this and tell me what the best way to proceed is. And then allow your subconscious time to work on that, and it will usually present what's going on. But what happens is in order for it to solve that problem, you've got to give it some downtime. You've got to give it some quiet. Now, this could be at night. You could be the last thing you want your subconscious to chew on when you go to sleep. Read that and make that the last thought with intention. I do this all the time. The other thing is, if you don't have that, then you can sit back. Got 15 minutes to meditate. You tell your subconscious, okay, I need you to solve this problem. And then you sit there and you meditate for 15 minutes. And I'll usually try and, if I'm going to have thoughts while I'm meditating anyway, I want them to be gratitude. I want them to be grateful thoughts. So I'll start thinking about things that make me happy, which will allow me to relax and calm down and not think about the immediate problem in hand. Or, like we all tend to do, obsess over the horrible problem that we've created in our brain. The other thing is, if your mind is not clear enough to focus on or to lack thereof, to meditate and let go of your problems is just focused on one problem, then write your problems down, give them a name and give them a description. What you'll find is the things that you're obsessing about are not nearly as large or insurmountable as what you believe they are. So, doing things with intentionality, resting with intentionality. Meditation is not rest, it's a mental break, but it's not rest. Here's my personal story about rest. Especially, and this is especially true if you're struggling, if you are having to work all the time, because there's a lot of us out there that are having challenges in work right now, business, the economy's challenging, whatever. We've got challenges, and we feel like the solution to this is to work more. And, sometimes it is, but also sometimes your body needs a break. Sometimes you mentally need a break, and you come back stronger. And again, I'm going to refer back to the gym. In the gym, whenever we work out, work out, work out. If we don't give our muscles time to recover, we eventually will get to a point where we're not growing anymore, and sometimes even going backwards. So rest is absolutely critical in the process of growth. It seems counterintuitive, but if you think about it, you've got to give yourself time to heal and recover. Mentally, this is the same thing. You have to give yourself time to heal and recover and not feel guilty about it. And this is my biggest challenge, is even when I was resting, I was still allowing my brain to chew on all these problems and on a conscious level, and they kept coming forward instead of just being truly present in the moment. And I'm not talking about resting like going to sleep, although that's part of it too, but doing things that allow you to focus on something else, spending time with your family, playing games. One of my favorite things to do is go out and get on the water somewhere and go swim, go relax, just whatever. But be truly present in those and don't feel guilty about it. Here's a technique that I use both in the evening and throughout the course of the day, but also when I'm resting. And this has really helped over the last couple of months. I read an anecdote somewhere where a man came home from work and he would touch the leaves on the tree right outside his front door every evening before he walked in. And then he would come back out in the morning. He would touch the same leaves and then he would go to work. And his child asked him one day, said, "Why do you do that every day, Dad?" And he said, "Well, it's because I am leaving all of my problems, all of my stresses, everything outside. And I'm not bringing any of that into this house so that I can be here for you and for you guys, because none of that matters when I'm here with you guys. And I need to make sure that I'm truly focused and present on you. And then when I go back to work in the morning, I pick them all back up again and I deal with them then." And the thing about it is, and that anecdote goes on to say, and sometimes in the morning, they're either smaller than what they were, or they're just not there at all because they've resolved themselves. But that really sparked something in me. I was like, maybe there's a physical act that we can do that will trigger our mental state. And so I literally started doing that. I will leave the stress in the truck if I come back. And it's a little challenge because my office is in my house. So I work from home. A lot of that stress is right there. Well, the office is a physical different room from where I spend time. And if I leave stresses there, I leave them on my desk or what have you, you know what? Then I'll spend time in a different room just so they're not there. I know this sounds silly, but at the same time, it's a mental trigger. It's a physical trigger to create a mental change. So I will put down my stress. I will put down my problems. When I'm done, I will shut down, close everything up. And if it's at my desk, I'll lay my palms flat on my desk on an empty spot and I'll leave the stresses there and pick them back up in the morning. If I'm in the truck, I'll usually touch the dash or I'll touch a certain part of the dash. Not that it matters, not that I'm physically just like transferring some energy there, although ultimately that's really what's happening. But it's a physical representation of, I'm leaving this here. I'm not bringing this home with me. I've got to deal with my own stuff whenever I go in here, and I want to be fully present for it. You won't forget your problems. They'll come back. You won't forget your struggles. They'll come back. But what this allows you to do is to close that and compartmentalize that stress associated with work or whatever it is going on outside and be fully present for you and your family. I was talking to a project manager for one of our clients the other day, or yesterday, as a matter of fact, and he's got 4 kids. We were talking about kids because we were both driving to a job, and I told him, I said, the best advice that I can give you, and I related this anecdote to him, but also was to make as many memories as possible. This is true as your kids are growing up, because you're never going to say, "Man, I wish I'd worked more when the kids were little." You're never going to say that. But you'll remember things and they'll remember things. And here's the beautiful thing about it. They're going to remember totally different things than you do, because you don't get to pick which core memory or which thing strikes each person individually. You just got to make as many as possible so you have as much shared legacy as possible. This is the reason for downtime. This is the reason for relaxation. Go out there, have some fun. It doesn't have to be expensive. Take your kids to the park. Go enjoy time with them. Go swimming with them if you can. Go do interesting, fun things with them. Heck, you can go to the library and pick things out, curl up on the couch and watch a movie. Even though it's a pain sometimes, make some of these things a big deal and not mundane, because you don't know what they're going to remember. Sometimes those simple acts are what makes the biggest difference. So use that mental ritual. I hope that helps. It's helped me tremendously. The other thing is don't feel guilty about taking time. When you define that boundary and say, you know what, this is my time to relax, don't feel guilty about that. You're going to piss some people off. You're going to irritate some people. You may create some situations that need to be dealt with when you get back. It does not mean you have to feel bad about it while you're doing it. If you don't establish those boundaries for yourself and treat mental recovery and relaxation just as if it were just as important as any appointment on your calendar, as any sales call, as anything else, then you can never truly mentally recover and come back. Or nobody's going to set those boundaries for you. You have to establish those boundaries not only with yourself but with other people. So you know what, I'm on a break. I'm doing this. Am I great at this right now? No, but I'm much better at it than I was a few months ago. I've spent my entire career just grinding and grinding and grinding, thinking that that was the solution. I've had a lot of fun over the years, make no mistake, but it was always easier to have fun when things were going well, which is pretty much a true statement anyway. And when things were going badly, I would feel like I needed to punish myself by not allowing myself a break. And I hope some of you, if you're still listening this morning, are not doing that to yourself, because it is not healthy and it doesn't help. All it does is make you more exhausted long term. When things are going well, have your breaks and enjoy yourself. When things are going badly and you're having challenges, have your breaks and enjoy yourself. You'll come back mentally strong. Some of these things will be solved by your subconscious mind while you're not thinking about them. And the ones that don't, you'll come back more rested and able to handle these problems more effectively and with a much better attitude. Because I know if I show up with a really good attitude and not being defeated and beat down, I get so much more done and so much more effective. So remember, rest with intentionality, work with intentionality. Don't become so addicted to the actual physical daily grind that you forget why you're doing it in the first place. Take your time, write these things down, and read them every day. And don't let yourself off the hook on that. Make sure you take time for yourself. Make sure you take time to relax, and make sure that you are giving time to the people that matter. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, that's all that matters. Thank you guys for being with me and listening to me rant. I am back. We are going to have so much fun over the next few months, just with the different guests that I've got lined up and coming in, with all of the different things that I want to talk about and I want to teach. And for those of you young men that are out there following me, keep liking, subscribing, and share this. Let me know that you guys are out there, and let me know that we're making a difference. We can't change the world except for one person at a time, one thing at a time. Love y'all. Peace.